Hi there. Happy Thriving Thursday. We've been talking a lot lately about stress and learning how to become more resilient to the stresses in our life and how to better manage stress so that our health overall can be better and we can thrive. Well, this week I want to continue that conversation. We've talked also before about mindfulness, and mindfulness as a practice we already know does wonderful things for our mental and physical health. It does help to improve symptoms of depression, particularly used when in conjunction with therapy for depression. We know that it does things like lower blood pressure and lower anxiety levels, and it increases awareness and it improves your heart rate. And I'm just one thing after another. There are so many wonderful benefits to practicing mindfulness. And just as a quick reminder, mindfulness can be anything from particular breathing techniques to just being in the moment and quiet and focus on your breathing and listening and just being still. There are so many different ways that you can practice mindfulness, and you can learn about them here at Going Beyond the Pink because we offer workshops in mindfulness. We have a great instructor, Beth, who comes in and can teach us a whole variety of ways to practice this amazing thing. So mindfulness is gaining popularity, and there is a real reason for it. Science backs it up. Let's talk for a minute about trauma. Trauma is really an emotional response to a terrible event, and it can happen to all of us. And there's really nothing to say what the terrible event is, right? I mean, it's whatever to us is terrible that causes that trauma. So normally, a body's response in kind of a dangerous situation is that it elicits that fight or flight response. And we've mentioned that before in some of the videos, right? Well, with trauma, the emotional response is so great and the event is so terrible to our individual being that trauma actually elicits a helplessness and a kind of a feeling of being paralyzed and being ineffective to do anything about that traumatic event. So we know that, say, soldiers, for instance, who are experiencing PTSD after being in the battlefield, that is an extreme form of trauma, right? Well, studies have been done to show the impact that mindfulness can have on even extreme forms of trauma like PTSD. For instance, Iraq and Afghanistan soldiers were studied, ones that showed symptoms of PTSD and were classified as having PTSD. Over the course of 6 months, there was a control group and there was a group that practiced mindfulness for 10 minutes a day. The group that practiced mindfulness for 10 minutes a day over the course of 6 months saw 60% reduction in symptoms of PTSD. That's significant, folks. 60% drop in what they're experiencing as a result of that traumatic event or events. So we know that mindfulness works. It's huge. So why does that matter to us in our little cancer community or for any of you that are watching these Thriving Thursdays? Well, if we can practice mindfulness on a regular basis, we can help deal with the trauma that's happened in our life. Because believe it or not, hearing you have cancer is traumatic, and going through the experience of treatment is traumatic. And so learning techniques to help you build your stress resilience and to help you just learn how to thrive overall really does help, and mindfulness is one of them. So in the end today, I just want to see you continue to work on thriving. Take 10 minutes out of your day every day, whether it's when you first wake up, at any point during the day, before you go to bed, wherever it is, whenever it is. Take 10 minutes and take good care of yourself. That's all this week. See you next week for Thriving Thursday. Thanks for joining me.